What are some common issues that can cause stumbling blocks in a transaction? You have the momentum going. What can bring a transaction to a halt or cause a hiccup or possibly even make a deal fall apart? I'm Bethany Warnches, real estate agent with Addison Jones, and you are watching Tuesday Talks with Bethany, where I answer real estate FAQs. This video is really to help sellers be proactive. Now, you don't have to do these things, and the choice is yours, but if you decide to proactively do these things, then your transaction has a higher likelihood of going smoother. So let's go through a list today of common issues that can cause stumbling blocks in a deal that you can be proactive about. So I'm going to start with your furnace and your AC. When is the last time that you had it cleaned and checked? You might think it's operating properly or running smoothly, but just paying for a clean and check that really isn't more than a couple $100 to come out, give you peace of mind, give you a report, and maybe if there was something wrong, it's taken care of and it doesn't hold you up later on. Then what about smoke and carbon monoxide detectors? Do you have them on every level of your home, including your basement? Now, this typically doesn't come up in conventional or cash deals, although it can. But if you have a government loan, that's something that an appraiser is out there looking for. And if they aren't there, they may have to come back again to reconfirm they are there, and it could maybe cause a delay. So just to make things go smoother and really for safety, you should have a smoke and carbon monoxide detector on every level of your home. Now, those government loans also have more nitpicky or stringent criteria to pass. Things like chipping, peeling paint, that's a really big one. Broken windows, open junction boxes, missing handrails. So from a seller perspective with that, you can take a look at it and decide, is that something that I want to be proactive about, or wait and see, what kind of buyer comes along and what their loan type is, and then go from there. So that's just something to take into consideration. Next, I want to talk about your electrical. So if you are thinking about going on the market, do you have the old knob and tube wiring? Do you have fuses, the little circles instead of breakers? Are you missing GFCIs where they should be by water sources? So that's the ones with the little reset buttons on there. What is your service? Do you have a 60 amp? Do you have a 100 amp? Do you have a Federal Pacific electrical panel, oftentimes called out by home inspectors or insurance companies? So just something to be aware of. Is your wiring done professionally, or was it done by an amateur? And then how is your electrical panel? Is it messy? Is it clean? So electrical can be a big one, and it's just something to pay attention to and make sure it's ready to go before you go on the market, because it could cause some issues. So this is really a lot of your systems, your main systems of your house. What about your foundation? Do you have cracking, bowing, seepage? So I know that in the Fond du Lac area, a little bit of seepage can be very common, but how excessive is it? If there is shifting in walls, things like that can be very expensive and costly. So again, if you want to be proactive about it, you want to know what's going on, you want to address it prior, or be prepared to know how you're going to handle it. Maybe you find out you have a basement issue, you find out what it's going to cost, and you know that you're willing to pay half of it, and you just put that out there right away, so you know. But up to you how you want to handle it, but just some different ideas there. Then how is your roof? Are your shingles curling? Do you have shingles that have fallen off? A roof can really be a holdup in a deal. What about windows? Actually, cracked glass and broken with a hole in it is not as common. But having a crack in a pane or a broken seal where the window gets foggy can be pretty common. So you can just take a look at that and decide, hey, is it just one window? Is it all my windows? And how you are going to handle that. Leaks, such as plumbing leaks, maybe just not the slow drip of your kitchen sink, but is there anything more excessive going on? Like, is a sewer stack possibly leaking? That could be a larger expense and something you may want to deal with ahead of time or be prepared for. And then well and septic. These can be very costly if something does come up with them. And so it can make things go smoother if you've had them recently inspected, looked at, and are able to provide a buyer with a report, and you can move on and move forward. So all of these things, it's more about, do you want to be proactive? Do you want to know what's going on and have a plan to address it so that you can just smoothly move through a transaction? Or is it where you just want to go on the market, and if something comes up, it comes up? It really comes down to you and your personal preference and what you want to be prepared for. I think especially if things are, say, older, it might be a good idea to look into them. So say your furnace is 25 years old. Maybe having that clean and check and someone looking at it will then give a buyer and you peace of mind. Or if your septic, you haven't had that inspected in years, and like I said, it can be a large expense to be prepared for. So it's just a good idea, especially if you're really unsure of the condition of something and you don't want any surprises, that you could go ahead and do that. But again, you don't have to. It's just you deciding how proactive you want to be, or if you just want to let it ride and see what happens. So this way, if you are proactive, things should go more smoothly because you've either already addressed them, or if you found out there's an issue, then it's, here's the issue, here's how I'm willing to handle it, and a buyer knows that up front before they're even writing an offer. So hopefully this was helpful to you sellers when you are looking to go on the market, to just kind of go through this as a checklist, take a look at your different systems in your house and make sure that they're operating smoothly and properly to have a then smooth transaction. So thanks for watching, and my next video, I am going to talk about appraised value versus assessed value versus fair market value, and talk about the differences between the three of those.